The Egyptians had initiatic practices inducting neophytes into the ancient knowledge and mysteries. This is an indication that our ritual is based on ancient knowledge. The manner in which, in all probability, Freemasonry was derived from the Egyptian mysteries may be thus explained. It is recorded in the volume of the Sacred Law that Moses was learned in all the wisdom of the Egyptians. If this were so, he must, of necessity, have been regularly initiated into their antient mysteries. Hence, we may fairly conclude that after the exodus of the Israelites from Egypt, Moses, Aholiab, and Bezaleel, the three grand masters who were called directly to serve God, presided over the first holy lodge, designed a new form of worship, igniting the passion for God among his people. Taking those antient mysteries as their models and retaining much of their practice and symbolism, deduced therefrom, they practically formulated the system of Freemasonry and elevated it into a pure and noble science, as it existed and was practiced during the period of those three antient worthies, archetypes of men working together to serve God. Other men like them are repeated again and again in sets of three, who will come together to lead the brothers and sisters of God's people, and so handed down to their successors from generation to generation. Moses served in the prophetic capacity, Bezaleel in the construction, and Aholiab in the planning and coordination. Bezaleel, whose name means "in the shadow of God," is building something that will provide shadow and protection for the furnishings of worship. Aholiab, whose name means "the Father's tent," is creating the tent that will be a temporary housing for the worship of God until the temple is later built by three other men who were called by God their ancient mysteries, establishing his system on a similar plan, and many orders of a more recent date have also copied their example. Freemasonry, however, stands preeminent as not only the most ancient but the most honorable order that has ever existed. The most ancient it is, as dating its history from an immemorial antiquity. The most moral it is because every character, figure, and symbol depicted in our lodges has a moral signification and serves to inculcate the practice of virtue upon all its genuine professors. A part of the first degree ritual refers to the Pythagorean system. The predominant number in this degree is 3. Numbers were seen to be mystical by many ancient mystery schools. Each of our degree ceremonies has reference to numbers throughout the rituals. 5 is predominant in the second degree and 7 in the third degree. Number mysticism exists in many of the ancient mysteries in different forms and with many similarities. It is important to note that the modern language probably does not have the capability of explaining the incorporation of philosophy, mathematics, architecture, music, mysticism, and theology found in the Egyptian system. To the ancient philosophers, however, it was their way of life. Number is all, declared the Pythagoreans. The classification of numbers as limited or unlimited, male or female, good or bad, may seem strange at first, until we consider the thinking that lead to these attributes. In this modern world, logic and reason drive everything, and yet our senses provide information that is not always related to reason. Hence, there are realms where reason has no access, and this includes the paths of initiatic traditions. For them, numbers do not refer to amounts, but rather indicate functions and principles upon which the universe is created and maintained. 1. The absolute, the unity, unpolarized energy, primordial scission. It is incomprehensible and unfathomable to human faculties. 1 is represented in our lodges by the Supreme Being, God, the Grand Geometrician, the Almighty, the Great Architect of the Universe, the Most High. 1 becomes 2. 2 is not 1 plus 1, since metaphysically there is only one, which is all. 2 expresses polarization and fundamental opposition. 2 is represented in or lodges by the checkered pavement. The establishment of a relationship between two opposing forces becomes a third force. 1 in becoming 2 becomes 3 simultaneously. It is the becoming that is the third force, providing the innate and mysterious reconciling principle, represented in our lodges prolifically. The sun, the moon, and the master, the 3 principal officers, the 3 steps to the altar, the 3 great lights, the 3 great pillars, the 3 theological virtues, the 3 grand offerings, the 3 movable jewels, the 3 immovable jewels, the 3 grand principles, and the 3 distinguishing characteristics of a Mason, among others. Likewise, the Egyptians and the Pythagorean system, who used signs and symbols to conceal their principles. The Masonic ritual conceals much of its connection to antient mysteries. Some emphasize, however, that at this stage our present system is not one coming from remote antiquity, for there is no direct continuity between us and the Egyptians, or even those ancient Hebrews who built the temple at Jerusalem. They nevertheless accept and recognize that what is extremely ancient in Freemasonry is the spiritual doctrine concealed within the architectural phraseology. For this doctrine is an elementary form of the doctrine that has been taught in all ages, no matter in what garb it has been expressed.